The clock on the wall blinked 2 a.m. You were curled up on your bed, the blanket wrapped around your waist like armor. Your tablet glowed in the darkness, playing the last episode of a K-drama. You had been laughing, squealing, and gasping along with every twist, forgetting for a moment the dull ache in your stomach. You didn't hear Jungkook's bedroom door creak open. He walked barefoot down the hallway, rubbing his eyes, still half asleep, on his way to the kitchen for water. As he passed your bedroom, a loud squeal caught his attention. He froze mid-step. Hmm? He muttered to himself and turned the doorknob. There you were sitting cross-legged on your bed, your hair falling messily around your face, eyes wide with excitement, a little red from laughing. What are you doing? Jungkook's voice was calm but carried that unmistakable edge of authority. You barely glanced at him. I'm busy, don't disturb. His eyebrows furrowed. Do you know what time it is? You sat brushing some hair behind your ear, a teasing smirk on your face. This is a house, not a college. You're not my professor now, so please carry on with your work. Jungkook sighed, running a hand through his hair. Wine is not healthy. Staying awake overnight like this, you will sleep in the classroom tomorrow and miss everything. You will fail exams if you don't rest. Don't you care about your studies? You rolled your eyes dramatically and pouted. Please, Mr. Professor Husband, I'm enjoying myself. Don't disturb me, I'm fine. He let out a low chuckle, shaking his head. You're really impossible sometimes. You smiled to yourself, curling back into the blanket. I don't have this much freedom to relax myself. Even during my periods, I have every right to ease my pain, don't tell me. Jungkook's expression softened a little. Though he didn't say anything, he just sighed and shook his head, muttering, "Stubborn girl," before turning and quietly closing the door behind him. You let out a breath. You didn't know you were holding. Alone again, you resumed watching your show, snuggling deeper into your blanket. Even though you were married for 3 months, this feeling of freedom was rare. The truth was, you and Jungkook hadn't yet behaved like a married couple. You were still strangers under one roof, careful with your words and polite in your actions like a professor and a student maintaining a strict boundary. Your grandfather had been Jungkook's grandfather's best friend. When he passed away, he had left his final wish for you to finish your final year of college. And because of that, you had married Jungkook. The arrangement had been practical, almost convenient, and even though 3 months had passed, there was still a strange distance between you two in daily life. The house was quiet now, except for the hum of the fridge from the kitchen where Jungkook had gone. He cooked dinner, prepared breakfast, and even made sure the pantry was stocked. But that was it. There was no small talk, no teasing, no shared jokes. Every interaction was short, formal, and careful. You glanced at your tablet, the K-drama character on screen going through her own struggles, and felt a pang of longing. You wished things could be easier, simpler, like in the dramas you loved, where couples teased each other, argued, and yet cared in their own small ways. Not like you and Jungkook, who carefully avoided stepping over the invisible line that kept you in the roles of professor and student even at home. Your stomach tightened, reminding you of the cramps that made you grateful for this little moment of escape. You had tried to explain once softly to Jungkook about how your period affected you, but you didn't tell about him and managed all alone. Maybe if he knew, he would do something for you. You shook your head, letting out a small laugh. Why is it so hard to just enjoy a little freedom? You whispered to yourself, even in my house. The memory of last night came back, how he had walked silently past your bedroom. After dinner, only his footsteps audible on the wooden floor. There had been no teasing, no casual conversation, just the quiet hum of his presence, distant yet familiar. He was always around, always careful, always distant. You sighed, leaning back against your pillows. Maybe it's my fault. I shouldn't expect anything more. 3 months and still like strangers. I guess that's how it's supposed to be for people like us. Your thoughts drifted to the college lectures you had missed, the notes you had fallen behind on, and the exams approaching. But for this one night, none of that mattered. The tablet glowed warmly, the fictional world soothing you in a way reality hadn't. You let yourself laugh loudly, squeal with surprise, and even shout at the characters' antics, caring little about the quiet rules of the house or Jungkook's warnings. Eventually, sleep began to creep in, your eyelids heavy from both the late hour and the pain you carried. The last thought that crossed your mind before dozing off was a silent promise to yourself. One day we'll be more than just husband and wife in name. One day this house will feel like a home for both of us, not just a shared space with rules. The morning sun spilled through the curtains, painting golden streaks across your bedroom. You were still deep in sleep, curled under the blankets, your body aching from the cramps that hadn't eased overnight. You didn't hear the quiet footsteps approaching your bed. One, a calm but firm voice called from the doorway. You stared slightly, but you didn't open your eyes. The warmth of the blanket and the lingering sleep fog kept you anchored in your bed. Wine, wake up. It's time for college. The voice repeated, a little louder this time. You mumbled something incoherent and rolled over, pulling the blanket tighter. Your body wanted nothing but rest. Then the familiar melody of your favorite song filled the room. Jungkook had found it on his phone. Your eyes snapped open and you screamed, flinging the blanket over your face. Jungkook, what are you doing? You shouted, half panicked, half annoyed. He didn't flinch. He stood calmly at the door, his dark eyes serious. It's time for college. Go and get ready. I'll be waiting in the car, he said and left the room. You sat up glaring at him, your mind screaming 1,000 things you didn't say aloud. How dare he wake me like this? You muttered in your head, scolding him silently but didn't argue. There was no point. He never lost his patience. With a groan, you got out of bed and trudged to the bathroom, your movements slow and heavy. The hot water of the shower eased some of the cramps, but not completely. You dressed quietly, choosing comfortable clothes that would hide your discomfort from anyone at college. When you walked into the living room, Jungkook was already standing by the car keys, a neatly packed breakfast box in his hands. Here, he said simply, handing it to you, eat in the car. Thanks, you mumbled, taking the box. His presence was silent but commanding as always, the unspoken tension between you two palpable. You climbed into the car, the soft hum of the engine starting and the ride began. The drive was quiet. You stared out the window, trying to ignore the dull ache in your stomach and the stiffness in your limbs. Jungkook's eyes were on the road, serious as ever. Not a word passed between you two, just the rhythm of tires on a split. When the car reached the corner of your college, Jungkook stopped. Get down here, I'll be waiting, he said. His tone clipped but not harsh. You opened the door and stepped onto the pavement, adjusting your bag strap. Okay, you murmured, trying not to look too frustrated. He gave a small nod and drove away, leaving you to face the day ahead. You both decided to hide about your relationship in college, as you both should not be a topic of gossip in college. As you walked towards the entrance, your best friend Sia ran up, her eyes immediately scanning your face. What happened? Again you watched K-drama overnight and didn't sleep, she asked, noticing your dull complexion and the bags under your eyes. You groaned, dragging your bag along. Ah, she's also like my professor husband, you muttered under your breath, only half joking. Sia's eyes widened. Professor husband? You rolled your eyes. Ha, it's a Thai drama, but I'm having bad periods, that's why I was awake and tired and. Ah. Sia handed you a small chocolate bar. Here, take this, forget your pain for a while. You smiled faintly and unwrapped it, letting the sweetness melt on your tongue. It was a small comfort, but enough to make you feel slightly human again. Soon you both made your way to the classroom. The first hour was taken by another professor, and somehow, despite your tiredness, you managed to stay awake, clinging to see a small jokes and the occasional sip of water to keep yourself alert. Finally, the moment came. Jungkook entered the classroom. The chatter fell silent, and dozens of heads turned. You felt a jolt of anxiety and tried to shrink a little in your seat. "Good morning, everyone," he said, his voice calm but commanding. He started the lecture, explaining complex topics with his usual precision. You tried to focus, taking notes diligently, but the cramps throbbed instantly. Each time he wrote something on the board or turned to glance at the glass, you felt a stabbing ache in your lower abdomen. Your eyelids became heavy, fighting against your will to stay awake. Despite all your effort, your body betrayed you. You nodded off, your head lowering onto the desk. A sharp tap on your shoulder made you jump. "Wine!" Jungkook's voice was stern, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Are you sleeping in my class?" Your cheeks flushed with embarrassment. You shook your head quickly, trying to hide the pain. "I'm sorry," you muttered, but his expression didn't soften. "You should not be sleeping in class. Time wasting at home and sleeping here? We are missing everything. Sleeping at night is your responsibility, not watching K-dramas." You opened your mouth to explain, to tell him about the cramps, but the words stuck in your throat. No one else needed to know, and anyway, he would only scold you further, so you kept quiet, biting your lip as he continued the lecture. The rest of the day felt like a blur. Your cramps worsened as the hours passed, the lack of sleep making everything harder. Each time you glanced at Jungkook from your desk, his calm, serious gaze reminded you of the invisible wall between you two. He didn't see the suffering beneath your quiet exterior. Finally, the day ended. The walk to the car was silent. Neither of you spoke. You avoided his gaze, staring out the window instead. He drove, focused on the road, the quiet tension between you unbroken. When you reached home, you didn't even glance at him. You quickly slipped inside, closing the door behind you, and bolted to your bedroom. You fell onto the bed, wrapping the blanket around your trembling body. Your stomach ached, your heart throbbed, and your entire body felt exhausted. For the first time in months, you allowed yourself to cry quietly, letting the frustration, pain, and helplessness pour out. You thought about the morning, about the classroom, about Jungkook's sharp words that had echoed in your ears. Does he even know? Does he even care? You wondered, your heart heavy. You hugged the pillow tightly, letting out a deep sigh. The world outside could wait. Tonight you decided you would rest, ignoring the rules, ignoring the lectures, ignoring even the stern presence of your husband. Tonight this bed was your only sanctuary. You had been lying on the bed, curled up in your blanket, when suddenly you felt something strange. Your stomach clenched harder, and when you shifted slightly, you realized something was wet on your skirt. Your eyes widened in panic. Quickly you grabbed your towel and hurried to the bathroom, your footsteps fast but careful. You shut the door and turned on the water, washing yourself with shaky hands. The cramps throbbed, stronger than before. Meanwhile, in the living room, Jungkook sat on the couch, scrolling through his phone absent-mindedly. The quiet hum of the TV filled the silence when suddenly the doorbell rang. He got up, walked to the door, and opened it. A delivery man stood there with a medium-sized parcel. "Delivery for Ryan," the man said. Jungkook signed and accepted it. He glanced at the name printed clearly on the box. "Your name." Without thinking twice, he walked to your bedroom to place it on your desk. He knocked gently. "Ryan, parcel for you." No answer. He frowned, knocked again. "Ryan." Still silence. Worried, he slowly pushed the door open. The room was empty. His sharp ears caught the sound of water running in the bathroom. His shoulders relaxed. "Bathing?" he whispered to himself, stepping inside carefully. He placed the parcel neatly on the nightstand, but just as he turned to leave, something caught his eye: the bedsheet. A faint red stain spread across the fabric. He froze. For a moment his mind rewound everything: your squeals of laughter at night, your stubborn words, your dull face in the morning, your struggle to stay awake in class, the way you collapsed on the desk. His chest tightened. She wasn't lazy, she wasn't careless, she was in pain. He exhaled deeply, guilt rising in his throat. I scolded her in front of everyone when she was suffering like this. Quietly he left the room and went straight to the kitchen. His movements were quick, decisive. He heated water, cut vegetables, stirred the pot, and prepared a simple warm soup the way his grandmother used to make when he wasn't well. Then he placed it in a tray along with rice, soft side dishes, and a bar of chocolate he had kept in the fridge. On a small sticky note he scribbled one word in the neat handwriting: "Sorry." He walked back to her room, placed the tray carefully on the bed, and stood outside, leaning on the wall, waiting. Inside the bathroom, you finally finished, exhausted. You wrapped a towel around yourself and changed into fresh clothes. When you stepped out, your eyes widened in surprise. On the bed was a tray, steaming, rising from a bowl of soup, warm food arranged neatly, a chocolate resting on the side, and beside it a folded note. You walked closer, curiosity filling your chest. Picking up the note, you read it softly. "Sorry," you whispered in disbelief, a small smile tugging at your lips. "Not bad. My professor husband knows how to calm his wife." You looked at the food again, warmth spreading in your chest. For the first time since morning, your eyes softened. "Thank you, Jungkook," you said aloud, not realizing he was just outside the door. Hearing your words, Jungkook's lips curved into a faint smile. He didn't step in, but his heart felt lighter. You sat on the bed, your body still sore, but your mind calmer. The cramps in your legs started acting up again, making you wince. You leaned back, muttering to yourself, "I would be happy if he massaged my legs. These cramps are killing me." To your shock, Jungkook's voice came from the doorway. "If you say yes, I'm ready." You turned quickly, your eyes wide. He stood there, leaning against the frame. His expression is soft but serious. "Jungkook," you whispered, surprised he had heard you. He walked in slowly, his steps quiet. "You don't have to hide your pain from me, Wine. If you need help, just say it." Your eyes stung suddenly, emotion rising in your throat. "But you shouted at me in front of everyone today." "I wasn't sleeping because I was careless." Your voice broke. "I was in pain, and you didn't even ask me for once." Jungkook stopped in front of you, guilt clear in his eyes. "I didn't know that time, but now I know." I saw the bed. I realized. That's why. He gestured to the food. "That's why I made this. I'm sorry, Wine. I didn't understand. I should have." You bit your lip, tears rolling down without permission. "Do you know how embarrassing it was?" Everyone was staring, and I couldn't even explain because how could I say that in front of the class? His shoulders sank, he sat down carefully on the edge of the bed, his voice lower, gentler. You're right, I was wrong. I was thinking like a professor, not your husband. Your heart skipped at his words. For months he had kept that line sharp between you, never mixing roles, but now for the first time he admitted both. You wiped your tears, whispering, then, can you be my husband right now? He looked at you for a long second, then nodded. Yes, tell me what you need. Your cheeks flushed, your voice shied. My legs, they hurt. Cramps. Without hesitation, Jungkook moved closer. He gently took your ankle. His large hands were surprisingly careful. He began massaging slowly, applying soft pressure, his eyes focused. You let out a shaky breath, closing your eyes. It feels better. He glanced at you, a small smile tugging at his lips. Good. Then I'll keep going. For a while silence filled the room, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was warm, healing, the kind of silence that spoke more than words. When he finally stopped, he pulled the blanket over your legs gently. Eat the food while it's warm. It will help you. You looked at him, your eyes soft, heart heavy with new feelings. Thank you, Jungkook, for this, for finally seeing me. He gave a small nod, his voice quiet. From now on, I will try to see you not just as my student, but as my wife. And for the first time in 3 months, you felt a fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, the walls between you were beginning to break. That night after the soup and the quiet leg massage, neither of you could sleep. You sat on the bed, hugging your knees while Jungkook leaned against the wall, his arms folded, but his eyes softer than ever. Why do you always keep so much distance? You asked quietly. We have been married 3 months, but it feels like we are strangers. He sighed, looking down. Because I didn't know how you felt. I thought maybe you didn't want this marriage either. I didn't want to force myself into your world. Your heart ached. I never hated you, Jungkook. I only hated that you treated me like just another student. I wanted to be seen as your wife. He walked closer, sitting on the edge of the bed. I regret shouting at you today. I regret every moment I made you feel unseen. You deserve more wine. Your voice trembled. And what about you? Don't you deserve someone who makes you happy? He gave a small smile, eyes meeting yours. Maybe that someone is already sitting in front of me. For the first time, you both allowed silence to carry warmth, not disdain. Two hearts finally speaking the truth. Thank you for watching.